This Organized Chaos video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Hey everybody, we are live. We got actual fandom and TurfNation here. This is the first. What was it called? The initiative or something like that.
The initiative.
Yeah, the initiative, right? Except I misspelled it in one of the graphics, and that's the one you use too, by the way.
I noticed that. Man, I was like,
my shame lives on.
It's a legend now. Listen, we're sticking with the name. But yeah, we got actual fandom and TurfNation here.
That's the version I used too in my announcement. Oh, great.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. Well, this is actually the first time we're talking to you, Turf. So actually, I meant to discuss it before, but yeah, I was going to learn more about you. Like, what inspired you to go on this path you went on in YouTube? Like, actual fandom and I have already been on. Although I think you started before me.
Well, maybe I started, I guess, like officially in start 2020, right after The Rise of Skywalker had come out. I didn't start out going after like the toxic fandom or like wokeness or anything. It started out with just being Star Wars. So the Rise of Skywalker had just come out. I thought it was I didn't like it all that much because I really liked The Last Jedi. And I thought The Rise of Skywalker undid a lot of the things that I liked about The Last Jedi, but I still liked it. But I don't know. I guess for a couple of years there, I'd been very bitter about the way that the Last Jedi had been received by a lot of people online, and people like Geeks and Gamers, a lot of Star Wars YouTubers just seemed to hate it more than what was needed for a movie that you seem to hate, you know? And so for like a while, I had this series called Toxic Star Wars Fans, where I was just watching videos of people who did not like the sequels, and then I was being a counter to it. In the beginning, I don't think, like all videos, they weren't, like all YouTubers, the first videos aren't very good, but I don't know. Eventually, I began to notice that there is a larger trend. It wasn't just Star Wars fans who were being toxic sometimes. There was a much bigger trend. There were these YouTubers known as the Fandom Menace. People like Geeks and Gamers, people like Nerdrotic, Ryan Kinnell, all these people. And I don't know, I just saw that there was something wrong. There was something. It wasn't fun to be a fan online anymore. And for a long time I'd been looking for the reason, and I thought perhaps I'd found it here. These channels, they promote hatred. You know, they're grifters. They make their profit, they make their money off of movies being bad. For all that they say about how Hollywood and wokeness is ruining modern cinema, if it wasn't in the state that it was, then they wouldn't make their money. If woke movies weren't coming out all the time, they wouldn't make their money. You know, and I think they're just making people angrier. I know I've just said a lot of things, but I guess like that's how I got into it. It started out with Star Wars, and then I realized there was a lot more to it.
Yeah, no, it sounds very similar, because I really didn't like Rise of Skywalker, but I actually liked The Last Jedi quite a bit. And yeah, and like the backlash to that, it was really confusing me. It was just like, why is everybody so angry at this movie? I don't get it. Is it perfect? No, not at all, but it's pretty good. It's pretty, I guess actual fandom, I don't know if we've discussed it, but what are your thoughts on Last Jedi?
Well, first of all, I need to address the fact that I'm apparently an idiot, and I don't know how to get the audio through my StreamYard without it being in my headphones, as well as this, and they're like a few seconds apart. So my audience is not hearing the stream. So I don't know how to make that happen. So I apologize to my audience. You guys are welcome to hang out and watch, or, you know, ideally you'll just hop over to Organized Chaos stream, hit subscribe, and watch there. But otherwise, I apologize. I'll try and figure this out next time for whenever we do it again. But yeah, that's my bad, guys. But it is viewable on my channel. So, all right. Yeah. So, Rise of Skywalker, I don't like to talk about it because it sucks. And I think that it's a movie that was made as a knee-jerk reaction to an inorganic response by, the same kind of people that we make content talking about. And to me, it's a film epitome of why these people are anti-fans. Because, in my opinion, The Last Jedi, masterpiece, give or take. It's a flawed masterpiece, but I love it. It's a challenging film. It was more challenging than any other Star Wars film. I had kind of, The Force Awakens was a little bit of a retread. It's still pretty good, and I kind of expected that to continue with The Last Jedi. And whenever I ended up seeing it, which opening night, at first I felt a little uncomfortable because some of the stuff it was doing. I was like, this isn't what Star Wars is supposed to do. And then I realized, throughout the movie, like, oh no, this is good. Like, I'm an adult who is legitimately being drawn into this lore again, almost in a new way. And so I loved it. And then I expected, when I got off of the internet, I've got home and got on the internet, that I was going to see a bunch of other people going, oh, The Last Jedi is amazing. And that was not what I found. So it was pretty alarming and disturbing. And that was, along with the whole Comicsgate angle, that was when I guess I realized that this stuff was going on outside of just comics in general. And there was this other film version of that type of content and narrative that, this something is woke or feminism and all this stuff. And I'm like, where are you guys seeing that? You're like seeing phantoms and stuff. Anyway, Rise of Skywalker sucks because I feel like it is a response to that inorganic response. You look at the critical score of The Last Jedi, super high. You look at the box office, over $1 billion. A movie like that if a movie is that terrible, it's not going to make over $1 billion. Not to say that box office is indicative of movie quality, but I just don't think it would have sustained itself long enough to get there if the word of mouth was generally that bad. So I feel like it was an inorganic narrative propagated around the internet, but that's just.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like why the reasons behind why the Rise of Skywalker is the way that it is. I have a similar experience with the Last Jedi. It was a film when watching it, I was just so taken aback by it. I was like, this is exactly what I want. I love having my heroes be challenged and, like have failures, go through dark times, and then eventually coming out and being heroes. There's something very symbolic in that to me, and that's why I loved Luke Skywalker's portrayal in this movie. Ever since it came out, I've never. It's one of my favorite Star Wars movies, but I don't care if people don't like it. I just think it's the response to it. Even nowadays, I still get people in comment sections or even in real life when I talk about Star Wars who are like, "Oh yeah, we don't talk about the sequels," and I'm like, "Why? Why?" It's like it's so long ago since they came out. It's a movie. If you don't like it, we can talk about that. I don't care if you don't like it. If we're both fans of it, let's talk about it. I think that's really fun. It's not always the most giving thing to talk to someone who agrees on everything with you, If you disagree on something, you can talk about it. But it's just everyone I've talked to about The Last Jedi, it's just not everyone. There's a lot of people I've talked to who are not like that. But a lot of people, especially online, it's just a lot of oh, this movie ruined everything. I hate it, and wokeness, and it's it gets tiring. And I think it's problematic, and I think it had negative consequence. The discourse had negative consequences for where film is nowadays, where every time something new comes out, there's reactions from both sides. It's like the people who hate it before it comes out, it's woke, it's ruining cinema, and then there's the few of us who are like, please stop,
Yeah.
And it's and with the Rise of Skywalker, I don't particularly like it very much because it undid a lot of the things I liked about The Last Jedi, but I still have a video on my channel from my like Why It's Great series about it. It's a series where I take movies that often aren't, they're a bit controversial maybe, or like they aren't the best received, and then I look at it from just a purely like positive point. It's like, why would someone like this, you know? To try to give someone a feeling of, why could someone like The Last Jedi? Why could someone like The Rise of Skywalker, or the prequels even, you know? And it's like, so, and I've talked to a lot of people who like The Rise of Skywalker, and that's fine, you know? It's just, nowadays I feel like movie fandoms, like TV, anything that comes out, it's just, a lot of people's first instinct is to go to like hate. It's to go to, oh, why is this bad? Not, you know, like, oh, is it bad? Is it good? Is it something I like? It's just, it can get tiring, and it's not very fun to be a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's tribalism is a real problem just in general in our culture politically, and it's, not to get too off into like sociological stuff, but like there's reasons behind it that are outside of anything to do with fandoms and stuff like that. It's a cultural expression of deeper problems in society, but that has become, like you said, the way things are. Online, to where you have to whatever your opinion is seems to determine what people think about you. And it's like, like I said, I don't like Rise of Skywalker, but if somebody comes to me and says, oh, I thought it was great, in fact I talked to a couple of people who like it, and I'm like, cool. I just, the thing that I think is missing is people are taking film analysis and stuff. They're seeing it as like some kind of objective thing, and or at least I don't think consciously that they're doing that, except for those couple of YouTubers who literally say they do that. But it's also subjective, and that's our perspective is informed by our frame of reference and our experiences, and so two people can watch a movie and get two different experiences out of them, and that should be fine. But it's become this environment where that's not okay in some people's eyes. And it's why that's one of the things I try to talk about as much as possible, is the idea that this stuff is ultimately subjective, and that's why it's kind of arbitrary to draw these lines in the sand about what's good, what's bad, what's woke, and what's not, especially since woke really doesn't mean anything. But
yeah,
okay,
I'm just looking at the like chat, and it's saying that we sound like robots. I don't know if we still do that.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's not as bad right now. Yeah, that's an issue on my end. I can't fix it immediately while we're live.
Yeah,
but I do have a couple of super chats. Sucked says, I know this is a small reason to not like Last Jedi, but the ship iron board scene ruined the film for me, though I did laugh. It felt like a personal joke within the film that didn't belong. Ship iron board scene? I'm brain farting.
Yeah, I don't know what that.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay. And then Brightburn.
There was a transition thing where it looked like it was a ship that was landing, but it zooms out and it was an iron.
Oh yeah, I like that transition. Yeah.
Oh.
I thought that was fun. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if that's like the reason someone doesn't like The Last Jedi, great. It's weird. That's funny. Yeah,
and that's what Bob was saying. I mean, it's what we were saying is like, not to call anybody out, but I do feel like there's a thing where it's like, if someone notices something that makes them think a negative or weird thing or something in a movie, that they're just like, oh, I don't like it because of that. And it's like, man, that's what I mean by subjective, because not everybody's going to have that same experience from that thing. And as long as we all accept that that's subjective, then I think we can have a better, time being fans. Like, I grew up on this stuff, and my brothers got me into it, my older brothers, and we would argue about Star Wars, but it was never like hateful arguing. We're never like judging each other as individuals or anything like that. So yeah.
Well, I mean, it's kind of my best friend and I. He's a much bigger fan of the prequels than I am, and we'll have discussions about it. But like, we're still friends. Like, the way people treat each other over film opinions gets really obnoxious on the internet. It's toxic as fuck.
Is Reynaldo in your chat? Is he serious right now?
I didn't see that.
It says woke has a
woke
meaning.
means
It
Marxist.
is
I don't.
Marxist.
Are you being serious? I don't know. But yeah, I have
That has to
another.
be.
It's hard to tell, man. It's hard
Yeah,
to tell
no,
sometimes.
the parodies of wokesis and the parody of the anti-woke and the actually anti-woke, they're about the same. The Venn diagrams just overlapping. And then I got a super chat from Brightburn. The Rise of Skywalker feels like a course correction that we would have gotten if Sam Raimi had continued his franchise and made Spider-Man 4.
Yeah, I can kind of see
maybe.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
You know what Rise of Skywalker feels most like to me is
Mm.
Batman Forever, in terms of like how critics and parents, especially, responded to Batman Returns being so dark and you know, Tim Burton-y, that the Warner Brothers was like, whoa, you got you know, no, we got to make it more kid friendly. And then Schumacher comes in and he's like, everything is colorful and fun and campy and everything. So,
yeah, to a degree, yeah. Maybe not that extreme, but yeah, I can definitely see where you're going with that. Now, to maintain our own theory, we're going to spend the next 2 hours of the stream bitching about Ghostbusters 2016.
I mean, okay, I can bitch about it. I don't like I said in the debate, I don't fucking like it. You know,
that's definitely a movie that I have like so little opinion of that I'm shocked that people can actually keep on doing videos of it. I mean, it's
that's
literally
really
a movie called
comes down
Ghostbusters 2016 now. It's only...
I don't hate it. I just, when I say I don't like it, it's like I nothing it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't strike me as something that should have been done, but it also doesn't strike me as something that just ruined a franchise or anything like that.
The only reason that movie is still relevant to any degree and it still gets talked about is because these people bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
No one cares. Like, feminists, don't care about it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's these people who keep bringing it up. Like, I saw you like responding to like the Critical Drinker video about like why modern movies suck.
Yeah.
And he's bringing up Ghostbusters 2016, be like, oh, this is why. Like, no one cares about it.
Yeah.
You're the one bringing it up, and then be like, oh, why are movies like this? It's like, yes, movies are sometimes not very good. A lot of people don't like them. You move on, you know?
I had to screenshot, I'm sorry, your chat, because Reynaldo is just blowing my mind right now. So
what's he saying now? Mark said that people that understand his ideas awakens to class consciousness.
And that's what woke means.
Ah, yes.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I apologize. I don't want to alienate your audience. I'm used to just laughing at comments like that on my channel. So
no, it's fine. Yeah, I'm not sure where he's going with it, but okay. I've never thought that definition of woke.
It's like if you search up the definition of woke, there's like the actual one. It's like being awake, like aware of like social issues. It's But like you don't need Marx to do that.
No, it's essentially just social awareness, but like now it just means anything I don't like, really, anything.
Well, but that kind of does convey, like, on a serious note. I mean, my instinct is to laugh impulsively at that, but like at the same time, that is how this content from certain content creators has kind of programmed some people to think of. Like, it just gives them tunnel vision on this idea that, these terms all mean the same thing, that woke is actually it's like a secret agent, being used to infiltrate people's minds with Marxist ideology, even though if I asked him what Marxism is, anything beyond that, he probably wouldn't be able to explain anything. It's all just these like superficial thought terminating cliches that are weaponized, and that's why I hate to keep coming back to it, but like whenever we debate people, all you have to do is kind of call them out on that these things they take for granted, and like, please tell me what that means, and they'll fall apart. But
no, it's for me, it's usually just ask them to explain it. Oh, really? What's that mean? And it just like they can't. It's like It's like they get a giant brain cramp all of a sudden.
You think the people in charge of Disney said, like, time to make a new movie. Let's make it woke. Like, do you think they ever use the word just for fun?
No, but
it's not a real word. Like, I don't know.
I am certain they would sit
it's-
down and say, let's broaden the audience base.
Yeah. Well, they're probably sitting there like, let's add a black person because that'll get us more money, you know, because that's what they care about
Yeah,
at the end of the
like-
day.
like I try to distinguish on my channel pretty frequently. It's like, yes, the corporate executive level, they're I mean, there's not a literal quota, I don't believe, but they do think, well, we should open casting and to people of color and whatever, like because historically they have been shut out of casting and film roles and not represented, but unless there's like a need for, in the past it's like, is there a black character written into this and the character has to be black, then they cast, you know what I mean? But otherwise it's like, nope, it's the default white person. So thankfully they're doing better, but like on that level, yes, like for instance, Marvel Comics is one within the Comicsgate sphere that they paint that as being like they're doing quotas and diversity hires and stuff, and it's like diversity characters, and it's like, look, yes, on the corporate level, there's definitely decisions made, not necessarily just because money, but because it's supply and demand. There's a demand for representation. It's as simple as that. They've been claiming all of these industries are going broke because they're woke for how many years now? And they're not going broke. Comic sales are rise. Films, like always, kind of wax and wane. The film industry issues have more to do with the change in streaming basically than anything else, and then COVID, of course. But they don't like to include those factors. It's not convenient for their.
Yeah, no, I love when they talk about how the box office for 2020 sank because of wokeism. It's like, or COVID, guys. It might have been COVID.
Yeah,
or
maybe it was COVID.
Well, aren't they the same thing?
Oh.
Isn't COVID just viralized wokeness?
Yeah.
I mean, if there's no definition, we can make and mean whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, true. I didn't even think about that.
Exactly.
Brightburn is bringing up that there's an extended cut of Ghostbusters 2016. I think I've seen
heard
it.
That's marginally better. I've heard it.
It's about the same. There's a dance sequence in it, which is the most memorable thing. I thought the dance sequence would be, like, I heard about being in there, and I thought it would interrupt the flow, and it doesn't. It's just, I thought it was about the same. It's a movie that existed. I covered it recently because we're talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife, and we went through all of the Ghostbusters movies. But yeah,
one distinction I like to make in the
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, it's just one distinction I like to make when I make the whole argument that like it is capitalism, like these people are calling out. It's like the executive, like the people making the real decisions are the people who just want more money, and like diversity quotas make more money, right? But it's like I like to make the distinction between like the board of directors and then like the actual creators,
creatives. That's what I was trying to get to. My bad.
Yeah, it's like artists throughout like history have been, most of like the large majority are like progressive, they try to make change, they try to say something meaningful. The same with creators of something, it's like they're the people who actually care about making a difference, being more inclusive, having more diversity. It's like there's a distinction there.
Yeah, absolutely. It actually reminds me of Neurotic talking about another thing that they love to talk about when he talked about Rings of Power and of how apparently they hired activist writers because their goal was activism with that series. And my counter argument was, no, their goal is butts and seats. I can't hear you, Dane.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was saying that, like, basically these guys are supposed to be capitalists, probably more so than a lot of people. Obviously, based on their content, they believe in money at any cost and without ethics. But, so, like, it blows my mind that they're, like, can't reason the idea that people want representation. And that, like, in Rings of Power, there's, like, a few people of color, but like none of it affects anything. Like,
no,
I saw some people upset because there are racial tensions in the show between the elves and the dwarves and the humans and the elves and stuff, and it's like they're acting like, oh look, they had to write that into the show, and I'm like, dude, that's part of the lore.
Yeah, that's always been part of the lore.
That's Lord of the Rings.
And they're like, yeah, they couldn't help themselves but write that in there. I'm like, there's literally not racial divisions among the people of color, and there's actually a white dwarf and a black dwarf married, and it never even comes up, But they just have to find something to the point where they and that's why I call them anti-fans, is they don't know the shit, they don't know the lore. If they did, they wouldn't be saying that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I actually got a comment today, on like a notification on my phone to one of my my videos on like the Rings of Power, and like the when the posters first came out, where you could see like the hands, and people were like being racist and stuff, and like wait, let me just find it. It was like because I know you guys also get crazy like comments all the time, and it's just, it's like I keep getting comments on this one. Today I got one that said it's Middle Earth, not Middle Africa, and I was like what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, first of all, that's just racist, and second of all, it's like what does that mean?
No, it drives me nuts because, like, do you not understand that Middle Earth isn't a real place? What you're looking for historical accuracy, and like I did have somebody, one of my comments, it was interesting. Somebody complained that George R. R. Martin studied the Middle Ages hard to get stuff in Game of Thrones and House of Dragon correct, and that's how come that stuff's so realistic. And I couldn't help it. My response was, "Yeah, I love those realistic dragons."
right.
Oh yeah.
I sorry, Reynaldo. I guess I didn't explain my point well. Liking capitalism, he says, liking capitalism doesn't mean you agree with the actions of all capitalists. That's not what I'm saying. But liking capitalism should mean, if you understand capitalism on a very basic level, that supply and demand is something you have to respect, and there is demand for representation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're against representation in media, then you're against a pretty basic principle of capitalism. But anyway, sorry, I hate to keep harping on that guy. It just keeps giving me good points to make.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like I that's definitely been ever since the critical drinker video. It's definitely been like since that my Rings of Power video that has gotten the most just insane arguments from, like the whole argument that, oh, J.R.R. Tolkien wrote this as a what's it called, like a love letter to Anglo-Saxon culture and European history. And it's just like it's fantasy. One of the main themes in Lord of the Rings is like different races who are bickering and stuff come together. They overcome their differences to fight a common evil, right? Like Gimli and Legolas. They're it's not white and black like race that we know today, right? It was like a different time he wrote this, but it's still different races coming together to fight a common evil. Mm-hmm. It's like, and people are like, oh, you shouldn't make it modern. Like, Tolkien has even stated at some point, like in one of his letters or something, that like he wants his story to be like updated. He wants it to be retold in different times. I don't get it.
I always feel like I have to repeat this over and over again because people, especially in my comments, don't. There's plenty of my fans that do, but there's plenty of people in my comments that don't. It's impossible to make something of a different time. You can only make something of the time you live in. It just is. It's a reflection of the time it was made. Everything is. Period. There's no getting around it.
Yeah, it's and by the way, like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's the thing that these guys, the anti-fan content creators, are always aiming for is a moment like Ghostbusters 2016, The Last Jedi, The Last of Us 2, and now I think they've managed to get another one with Rings of Power, where it's like,
don't forget Captain Marvel.
Metrics. That too, yeah, absolutely, Captain Marvel. How could I forget? Yeah, and that's you look at their metrics for any one of those periods, and they were doing way better than any other time, like sometimes twice as good as normal. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're always trying to rile up their audience to achieve. And and the fact that they're able to do it periodically is, it's not good. But with Lord of the Rings in particular, like you were saying, Turf, there's well, and Bob too. There's like so much specific, the people were just very specifically drilling into the idea that this was not what was intended, and Tolkien would be, would not like this or whatever. And it's like, I don't see any valid arguments for that. It seems like a bunch of bullshit to me. But
no, it definitely is.
Yeah, like going back to the like they wait for something to happen. It's like they don't care about changing fandoms. They don't care about actually doing anything about wokeness. Because they live off these moments when something new thing comes. It's like, oh, I've been waiting for this new one, like a new scapegoat. After they're done milking the same thing, all of them, how many of them there are, for like weeks and months, even years. And then something new comes and it's like, oh, their metrics go up, their views go up, everything goes up,
Yeah, and they've never even talked about this thing before on their channel, but now suddenly it's the most important thing in some cases. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, in fact, yesterday, I made a graphic for it. I won't pull it up now or anything, but like, there was, I saw an article by Bounding Into Comics, which is, part of the whole propaganda network.
Yes, it is.
Where, somebody like Ethan Van Sciver or whatever will make a video saying, here's some crazy claim. And then Bounding Into Comics, Bleeding Full, what is it? We Got This Covered, I think, is another one. They'll run with it as if like this is a valid thing to report on. And then the other YouTubers will start reporting on that, on those news articles, and using those news articles as proof of some kind of thing. And it's like this whole Ouroboros human centipede of bullshit. Anyway, so yesterday, Bounding Into Comics had an article that Chris Gore told Nerdrotic, these are the sources they used. Nerdrotic was a source that they're going to retool Rings of Power completely for season 2. That they're firing, like the showrunners, and that basically because it was such a disaster, that they're starting over essentially with a new team and new approach and stuff.
It's like how they remade the sequels, like they all said.
Yeah, they definitely remade the sequel trilogy after Last Jedi. That is a thing I remember happening.
I love the remakes. They're so
great. So what I did was I went and looked at Nerdrotic's views. I was like, so what kind of views was he getting during Rings of Power? And it was a lot. In some cases, twice as much as average. And after Rings of Power ended, his views dropped again. So what I see there is just like, I need those numbers again. And people love clicking on Rings of Power shit. So anyway.
No, God, I don't want to think about how many hours of Rings of Power stuff they put together, even before the series was even out. Just every time there's some sort of like article about it, they're freaking out. And it's like, it's a fluff piece, goddammit. Can you just move on? I won't even pick it up, but apparently you have to get triggered by everything in it for some reason. These guys are ridiculous. I'm a little tired, so I'm a little bit off, but
oh, me too. And plus I just feel like I could just go in all kinds of directions with you guys, so I apologize for my ADHD.
Yeah, it's okay.
No worries. I think we have a lot to talk about. Way, way too much to talk about in one stream.
Yeah.
But yeah, which is why we should probably do more of these on a more regular basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, we should do something, and we should have friends on as well. Yeah. The initiative, I think will be great. Or is there no pronunciation of that? I'm not sure.
The initiative.
Oh, God damn it. I really set myself up. See, I was too excited. I'm like, oh, just type it out. And and now I'm going to pay for it forever. Yeah. But that's all right. Small price.
We'll have jokes forever, and it will never get old. But yeah, definitely.
Spark that rose to counter the Friday Night Heights. Yeah. Welcoming the initiative.
Initiative. You can ask my audience. My audience is used to just like kicking, a dead horse joke to death. You know what I mean? Like I use the same jokes a lot. But yeah. By the way, shout out to Little Movie Perp. He couldn't be here with us today. He wanted to, but
yeah, he's in the chat though. I see him in there. Yeah. Let's see. Brightburn was saying people use Ian Fleming's name to argue against Eon. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that has not been. God, if they ever actually do put it like they've said they don't want to do a woman, but if they do a black man as James Bond, Jesus Christ, these people are gonna blow up. Holy shit! You just know it.
Yeah,
look forward to that.
I mean, the fact that one dude brought up the Dark Tower the other day.
I know.
Yeah.
So, I had read that book, and I was trying to remember what the huge racism thing was, and it turns out one of the
it's there.
It's there. It's one of the supporting characters wasn't comfortable because he was a white man. So it's it's there, but it's really?
Is it? That there were so many things changed about the book plot to that movie that to just drill in on that point is fucking weird. They wonder why we're oh, that's racist, and it's oh, because it's different. It's well, there's a million things that are different, and that's the one that you're fixated on. You know what I mean? And that's
No,
it's again similar to Rings of.
Oh, go ahead.
It's again similar to Rings of Power, and because there's a lot of differences to the books, or the appendices, which is all they have.
Yeah.
But still, one of the arguments I see a lot is oh, the reason these changes are done is because of wokeness. It's not that oh, there's this small aspect that I don't like that I think is woke, and then they've also made all these changes that I also don't like. It's that no, woke is all of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the creators are woke, and therefore they don't respect the source material, and therefore everything's woke.
I just want people to think about what it would be like if they did a 1-to-1 adaptation of the appendices. Just
Jesus Christ,
what the fuck?
It'd be incomprehensible. Basically, it would not have a plot. So,
no.
But yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
It'd be one thing if they kind of, not that they have a point about the wokeness and stuff, but okay, if a thing comes out and it's a reboot or a sequel or whatever of something that people love and it doesn't do well, like Ghostbusters. Well, I guess it did okay, but I mean, if a lot of people hate something and then they're it's rejected or whatever, and it's okay, good point. That shouldn't have been done. We may disagree on the reasons, but nobody liked it. But when something is successful and gets great reviews and gets most fans like it and makes a lot of money, I don't understand that I don't feel like they have a leg to stand on, and that's where it has to resort to paid Disney shills and paid critics and stuff like that. That's where they branch off into conspiracy territory. And yeah.
Well, I mean, I saw Nerdrotic's tweet where he was pointing out a negative review for Wakanda Forever. It was just dude, I thought that Disney paid off all the critics. What's going on?
Yeah, if you look at the content they've been doing about that, they've been setting it up as a disaster and stuff like that for a good week or more already. So, by the way, we're going to do live AF this Friday talking about in part Wakanda Forever. We'll look at how it's doing, look at reviews. We'll look at apparently Namor actor has said some stuff that people don't like. The same people we're talking about. It's historically accurate stuff, but people are mad about it. So we're going to look at that Friday.
Yeah,
promo.
I did see some people were getting triggered about some of the stuff he was saying. I was I'm fine. It seems like it doesn't take much, and I feel like a lot of it comes down to these content creators kind of getting people ready to get triggered. And like I've said, like we've brought up, when you bring these people on to actually talk about it, half the time they haven't even seen the stuff, so they don't even know what they're talking about. They're just trusting everything to these content creators, which is a whole issue in and of itself.
I've seen those videos around. I haven't watched them yet. Have you guys I don't know who's made them, probably all of them, but about the about Wakanda Forever, a week ago or something, where it's they don't want white people aren't allowed to see it, something like that.
Oh yeah, I saw something like that. Yeah.
We'll watch them Friday. I imagine, I haven't watched yet, but I imagine that it's similar to when Brie Larson said, I would like more women and people of color reviewing movies, and then they made a year's worth of content about they don't want white men watching Captain Marvel. So I imagine it's something like that. But
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter anymore. They could say anything and they'll just misconstrue it to mean whatever fits their narrative.
Yeah. Like they are just priming their audience to not like something. You know? It's like yeah, even if you think you're gonna dislike something, you can still change your mind, right? But if you're so like if you engage in so much about like, oh, this thing is gonna be the worst thing ever, you know, it's already shit. I'm not even gonna give it a chance, even though you say like, well, maybe it can be good, right? No, like you're not in that mindset. You're not open. You're not actually open for it changing your mind. You're just saying that so that people like us can't be like, oh, you're not giving it a chance because they're like, oh, well, I said it could be better, but like, no, it's not going to be better for you because you're gonna make your videos anyway because that's how you make money.
Well, that's the thing. Like, oh, go ahead, Dane.
No, you first.
All I was gonna say is, these guys they get their fans primed up to either A, not see it, or B, go in just looking to hate it. Which that's one thing that drives me nuts. Like, I can't imagine going into a movie looking to hate it. Like, I went to Jurassic World Dominion, and I was pretty sure it was going to be bad, but I still went into it with the hope that it'd be good. I was like, please be good. Please prove me wrong. Please prove these critics wrong so I can come out here and be like, hey, everybody's wrong. This is great. And of course that didn't happen, but it's like, that's all I'm asking. People, just go into this stuff with an open mind. Don't, when you go in pre-hating it, you're going to hate it, because you're already set up. That's one thing I just have to stress.
Yeah, I also don't... Oh, no, sorry, it's your turn.
Never mind. Because I was just going to respond to Ronaldo, and I need to stop doing that.
Yeah. No, but like, I'm also like, how... So, I don't know about you guys, right? If I watch a movie and I don't like it, well, like, what's your reaction then? What do you do?
I go, well, that's disappointing. You know, if it's something that's like a beloved franchise, I definitely feel more deeply disappointed. You know what I mean? But like, at the end of the day, my life isn't changed. I know that, you know, there's always another chance for the next one to be good. And in many cases, like with Marvel, if there's one I'm just like, that wasn't my favorite one, there's a good chance the next one is going to be really good. You know,
exactly. Yes. Right. Like you either, if you watch a movie, right, or watch a show and you don't like it, whatever, right? You can watch something else. It sucks. Maybe you were excited for it. It's disappointing, right? As a content creator or someone who likes to post on the internet about their opinions, you maybe like put up a review about why you didn't like it, right? If it's something that you're passionate about. But that's it, right? Like, I don't understand having to put like everything you have into saying why this sucks, why this is the worst thing ever, why you shouldn't like it, you know? It's like,
yeah, it's you look at any of these channels or whatever and you're like, when was the last time that they praise something? It's, you know, and sometimes every once in a while they do, but a lot of times it's when they do, it's something like Gina Carano's movie, because it's, you know, it has to do with their it's so much projection exactly. and double standards just left and right, man.
It's either something that's like that will help their own message, like help their own content, or something that's so that everyone loves, right? That they know that they would get backlash from their own viewers if they said they hated it, you know? Like I've gotten a bunch of people saying like, oh, well, on my Critical Drinker video, right? Being like, oh, but if the Critical Drinker has a bias towards women, then why did he like Arcane? He talked positively about the female characters in that show, you know?
Sarah
it's like,
Connor and Ripley. So often.
Yeah, right? It's like everyone likes these things, you know? It's like you're not saying like, oh, look at me, I don't just hate like woke things. It's like I just like good cinema. It's like, I don't know, it feels like dry, you know? And it's like it's not really a good counter to them being hateful.
Well, I mean, we kind of saw something kind of like that when Prey came out, when Critical Drinker did his first trailer review, where he was like, oh, well, this is going to suck because how can a woman take on a predator? Which was essentially the synopsis of that trailer review, which was just dumb on so many levels.
And
I've
then-
covered it ad nauseum, but yeah. Go ahead,
Pretty
Dane.
much everybody liked it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
everybody pretty much liked it. And then he retroactively changed the title of that, and he's done it a couple of times that I'm aware of. Where he's retroactively changed the title of a video because the thing turned out to be more popular than he expected, and it's like he
House
has
of the
to,
Dragon too.
Yeah, he has to maintain this, like, I'm actually a cultured, tasteful reviewer or whatever. He doesn't want to lose his cred. So,
well, even his positive review of Prey was a lot of backhanded stuff. Like, it was the same with Nerdrotic and his. Yeah, it was his same with his with Nerdrotic's House of the Dragon stuff. It was like lots of backhanded stuff where it's like if he wasn't saying it was good, like at like the end or whatever, you just assume it's a regular negative review.
Yeah, like someone who doesn't really enjoy it that much, but then they're like, "This is why House of the Dragon is the best thing to come out, and it destroys Rings of Power." And then their reviews are like, "Yeah, but I didn't like this, and I didn't really like this, right?" And I was kind of, I didn't like this going in, right?
This is a little
like
too
it's
woke
good
right here.
Yeah, right. It's like I didn't really like the woke parts, right? But like at the end of the day, it's good.
Yeah,
but they're giving no reasons as to why it's good, you know.
I noticed they gave women 2 more speaking lines than men, and I didn't like that one. It's like,
bro,
okay.
The thing's, House of the Dragon is way more woke, like actual, like like progressive in like its themes than Rings of Power. Like,
no, I
way more.
I brought that up. Yeah, it's way more. I mean, part of the ending was about how we have a woman in power and she doesn't want to go to war, whereas all the men are like, hey, let's go to war. She's like, no, let's not go to war. Let's figure out a peaceful solution. Rings of Power didn't do anything like that, and there's lots of talk about how women in the culture work, and Rings of Power hasn't even really broached it. There just are women and people in color in the culture.
Captain Marvel is way less feminist than House of the Dragon, right? Like that's like feminist and women empowerment isn't a theme of Captain Marvel. It is in House of the Dragon.
I have to kind of quibble with that because it a little bit is in Captain Marvel in the sense that, like, that what's his name has control over her, and then especially in that last confrontation where he's like telling her to control herself and blah blah blah, and she actually blasts him, and because basically she learns that not controlling her emotions the way that this man has taught her helps her be more powerful. But still, it's not like it ruins the fucking movie or anything. I mean,
the things, but I'd still say like it's way less on the surface than in House of the Dragon. Like it's way more like in House of the Dragon they talk about like, oh, a woman can't get power, but then it's like, oh well, I'm gonna show you I can. It's like Captain Marvel, just like how with like something like The Last Jedi, right? It's like they talk about like, oh, they've made it political when there's any political themes or like progressive themes are so like nothing, It's like in The Last Jedi too. There's nothing like in the movie like itself that points to any like feminist agenda, right? But there's still like, oh, there's
the
like
purple-haired lady is like the embodiment of yeah, I know, but I mean, I'm joking. Like, but
like that's their things. Or like Kathleen Kennedy has worn that like t-shirt at one point, right? And they're like, oh, can't you see this is political, right? But like when you look at the movie, it's not,
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, maybe if you go moving, but not really. I mean, part of it is how Holdo was doing her best judgment. I mean, she essentially, like, I understand why she didn't tell Poe the plan because he was somebody who was just demoted and she doesn't know him. But at the same time, it was a bad call on her part. She wasn't like flawless at all. It wouldn't have been smart for her to trust her, but she didn't know that, and that's where the conflict comes from.
And they will say both. They'll basically say that. They'll say, and they don't realize that they're contradicting themselves, and that this is just a story. Like it's like if the character isn't perfect, then they focus on that. She made a mistake, and it's her fault. That blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, man, that's kind of the whole point of the movie is failure, and like how do we deal with loss and when our plans don't go the way that we want them to and stuff like that. That's one of the reasons the movie is challenging and why I love it is because not used to that from Star Wars. Like we're on the back foot and
and that's not to say that like I'm not trying to say that like there's no themes in The Last Jedi or like Captain Marvel or something, right? It's like there definitely are. They're not as focused on like social issues necessarily compared to something like House of the Dragon, which of course George R. R. Martin writes his stories very realistically, right? He writes them so that they mirror real life, right? They're very explicitly like political, you know, and like they have very social themes. But it's like it just and even if there is in Captain Marvel feminist themes, right? And obviously the stuff with Brie Larson, most of the things like hate towards Captain Marvel is because of Brie Larson, right? But it's like there's no standards because then they love something like House of the Dragon. They didn't want to. They didn't want to like it, right? There was all the stuff beforehand. They were priming their audience. They were like, oh, they've made a whole house black, right? They've changed everything. It comes out, everyone loves it, right? And then they change on it. They're like, this is the best thing ever. And they only did that because they also had the right rings of power that they could then hate on. They could use House of the Dragon, even though it goes against, like, you know, like a woke show. But still they use that because everyone likes it to shit on Rings of Power, which isn't really that woke at all.
It's also, they use it big another, like, I'm not disagreeing, but on top of that, one of the reasons that worked for them to benefited them is because then they get both of these shows that are both in the same genre, and probably a lot of people are watching both, competing, and they can make, you know, videos and streams and everything about with both of these in the title, in the algorithm, and that only benefits them too. They have to have a conflict narrative constantly. There has to be the enemy and the conflict narrative, and like, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's the thing is they don't know the issues that they, you know, like when it comes to feminism, it's just a boogeyman, a word, and they don't know what it means. You know, they don't know what that House of the Dragon is very much about. You know, gender dynamics and, you know, reproductive rights. You know what I mean? Like it's like they're not spotting it whenever the you know, the what's his name? I forget the names, but when the, you know, the man's making a decision about whether the doctor should do a cesarean section, knowing that she will, knowing she's going to die, and yet the husband makes the call for, you know what I mean? Like they don't get that that's definitely a reproductive rights statement. And
and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you know, Nerd Rock even said, well, he made the right call. It's like, yeah, he made the call that she would probably make too, but don't you think she should be involved with that decision?
Yeah. I mean, Star Wars, to think that you can separate politics from something called Star Wars shows that they don't understand what politics are. To them, it's just like literally whatever is in the news right now. And not like, you know, the literally wars are directly related to politics. You know what I mean? It's nonsensical. And that's why I think that it's important that we talk about these things, is to get people thinking about it in a way that's not just programmed by their YouTube content. Well,
yeah, absolutely.
YouTube content, but like,
yeah,
and
like, I mean, this argument.
I was just gonna say bluntly, like, I feel like a lot of this stuff honestly is gateway stuff for the alt-right ideology towards fascism. It really feels like that, because a lot of the comments I get,
it's true.
It's not good stuff.
Like most of these channels are like they're explicitly like right-leaning politicians, you know, like on they have like, some of them have like second YouTube channels where it's like full on like pro-Trump everything, you know.
Yep.
Well,
it's like
I mean, I've like proved it, honestly. Like I've had a couple of videos now where I've shown the connection, and like there's a blog and podcast called Rewriting Ripley. I don't know if you guys have checked that out, but definitely should. They only got like a handful of articles out on Medium and then a few podcast episodes, but they've done this deep, exhaustive dive into basically how this stuff all started with stuff like Rush Limbaugh, and even going back to like the John Birch Society, these kinds of narratives that have been, you know, McCarthyism, and basically just lived on and been recycled with new, you know, language added to them, like whatever the current language is. So woke is just the new version of a sentiment that's been propagandized from the right for decades. And Rewriting Ripley's amazing work that I work from, their theories and really just analysis that's pretty spot on, quite a bit. And I've got a new video clip that I need to edit and get out about that, where there's like there was a study. They did a study about Rings of Power, and where a lot of the Twitter bullshit, like the racism on Twitter and whatnot, going towards the show, the cast, the crew, and everything. And they traced all those accounts that were being racist to YouTube, and showed through data that it's Geeks and Gamers. It's everybody that you would think it is. It's all traced back to these sources where, and it shows how inorganic it is, and it shows exactly, where the drive to go on Twitter and be pieces of shit comes from. But
it actually, yeah, you brought up Geeks and Gamers, and it just, I think I was watching one of your guys' videos, and the moment when Zack Snyder called them out, I remember not expecting that, and then hearing when that happened, it was just like, oh, thank you.
Yeah. And they got so annoyed at that. The whole crew.
Well,
they loved Zack Snyder until
he was their hero.
He
was their anti-Marvel guy, right? Like,
yeah, he was, but also, like, I mean, there is totally fascist themes in his movies, and I don't know if he's doing it on purpose, but like the way he does superheroes and stuff like that, the manly men and stuff like that, definitely treading that water if nothing else. And it was kind of interesting to see that's not really where he lies. That's not really...
It's of course interesting to see if it's him, or if it's also like he's heavily influenced by his like media team or whatever. But I like to think that he also kind of meant what he said.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt kind of genuine to me. But who knows? Yeah.
I mean, he also talked about like his daughters and stuff. So yeah, pretty sure it's genuine.
Yeah, for sure. My friend and I have been wondering, what racial slurs do you think they're going to come up with to use against Wakanda Forever?
You mean like slurs or dog whistles? Like,
oh, I'm sure. Honestly, I think we're gonna get both as this movie rolls out. But yeah,
no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, so I don't know if you remember, I covered this, but like Geeks and Gamers, Jeremy Griggs, he made a video and several claims that the first Black Panther was actually alt-right.
I have not seen any of those. That's interesting.
He shared a meme that was like a list of traits about Wakanda, and it's like they're isolationist, they're ethnicity, and like all this stuff. And he's like, got Black Panther wearing a MAGA hat, and he's like, what's funny about it is not only it shows once again that he doesn't understand these politics or dynamics of between different countries or contexts, but it was basically a tacit admission that his beliefs are fascist. And it's just really funny.
No, I think that's interesting.
Did he acknowledge that, like, by the end of the movie, like the whole point of the movie is that this is wrong?
Yeah, I was about ready to point that out.
Great.
The themes of the movie were that their traditions were holding them back, and that they need to move past them. They have all this great technology, but they're being held back by these crazy traditions that they shouldn't be. Yeah. That was one of the themes of the goddamn movie.
So Geeks and Gamers literally just exposed himself by being fascist, and then also that he's wrong about it.
Yeah. Doesn't understand how to watch media.
Good for you, Jeremy.
Yeah, no.
It's the most superficial analysis of things, and that's why I've was drawn to you guys. And there's several other creators that I know of that I think are doing great work. Several of them are in chat right now.
Yeah, I've seen a couple.
But I just think we need to make it, easier for people to find us, and to know that, like, we're all, even if we have different approaches and different analysis of things, and even if we disagree on things, that like we're at least doing it in a way that we're really thinking about this stuff, and we're engaging with the media in a way that is substantive and not just making decisions about what it's going to be before it's even come out based on casting or whatever, or what some producer said behind the scenes, or it's
I mean that's
also like one. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, when you get these early news articles about movies, I mean, you can get stuff that's a bad sign, but you don't actually know if the movie's bad until you actually sit down and watch it. It's a fact I've learned.
Yeah.
You don't know. There have been train wrecks that turned out to be totally decent.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's been stuff that's supposed to be great that turns out to be really fucking disappointing. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I guess one thing that I've been wanting out of like thinking about this whole initiative, like if we do it and we also like grow, you know, it's one thing to truly separate us from the other side is to not become an echo chamber. You know, like you said, be able to disagree and challenge each other, not always just, oh, someone says something, yes, that is the only correct thing that could ever be said, you know? And
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah,
exactly, right? Like let's just roll along with that, and everyone's gonna love it. It's gonna be great, right? Right?
In fact, maybe we could do something like eventually debates where but it's, you know, friendly and like we're just trying to argue our opinions about things or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, that would be cool.
Yeah, it could be fun.
Yeah, me and Dane about why Bob is bad.
Yes,
we can be civil about that.
I'm in the middle here.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's your channel we're on, but it does not matter.
Oh shit.
But yeah, no, but like, because you guys can definitely agree or like relate. I get a lot of comments every single day, and most of them, the large majority of them, for me at least, are people who aren't positive, like don't have a positive outlook on me, right? And especially the recent year, it's been harder and harder for me to filter through the comments that are either from people who like me or people who come with an open mind and who have criticism that I can take to heart, you know, compared to the hordes of just whatever, you know, people shit posting, people saying go away now, which is like Critical Drinker's thing, right? Like I get those every single day, and it's just, I feel like it's important to also be able to grow as a content creator and a person, to have people around you who aren't afraid to tell you what they think, you know, and challenge you on your own ideals and opinions, right? But it's also important to have people around you who you trust enough to do that, right?
Yeah.
And if you have people who, you know, like you guys, where I know that you guys care about making a difference like I do, right? So that if I say something that's wrong or that say something that's misguided or whatever, right? I know that you guys will call it out from a place of wanting to make a change, you know, for good. It's not just, oh, you're a bad person, or, you know, like, I hate you. It's like, we have the same goal. Let's try to make each other better.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, I feel very fortunate that, oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, I mean, that's part of why I like to invite, like, people who are not fans of me on to talk. It's not just to make a fool of them, although that does happen. But it's sometimes it's to try to reach out, just talk to them, be reasonable with them. And I feel like I've been able to get through with at least one person, and you know that's something. And yeah, that'd be kind of one of my goals. But yeah, I think it's important to be able to disagree with somebody like reasonably. And I think with a lot of the fans of this content, like, obviously I feel like we're doing a lot of grifters with the content creators, but a lot of the fans, you also have fans that are just true believers and maybe just don't realize how misguided what a lot of these guys are teaching them is. And it's good to kind of wake them up from that. I mean,
what's scary is that, like, not only have they gotten, you know, a kind of generation of disaffected, kind of middle-aged people, mostly guys that like have bought into this stuff, but now there's a generation of kids that are coming into fandoms, and this is what they find when they get into YouTube. Like, let's say somebody goes, just a average kid who has no real political or social leanings or whatever, sees a Marvel movie, then goes on YouTube to like, oh, let's see what's up with Marvel comics or more stuff, learn more about it or whatever. And most likely they're going to find content like Fandom Menace and Comicsgate stuff, and that's fucking terrifying to me. Just because, and that's what, you know, there just needs to be more content that offers a not that view. It doesn't have to be the exact same view. It doesn't even have to be the polar opposite view, but just any kind of content that offers a more good faith, thorough analysis or appreciation. And like you were saying, I feel there are a lot of comments that I get. It's gotten to where I honestly don't even read comments past the first few hours after a video goes out.
Yeah, same. It's like, for me, at least like the first night I try to read through all of them, and then like the next day I look through them and respond to the ones that I want to respond to, and after that it gets tiring.
Yeah, any longer than that, like basically the time frame for my content, maybe you guys have had similar, I don't know, but like I'll drop a video and then all of my regular viewers will show up, and I'm like the likes versus views ratio is super high, like a lot of likes, you know what I mean? No dislikes. And then like within 12, 18 hours, then you start seeing those dislikes pile up and the views, and then you start seeing the watch times go down, and you can just know that some Discord server or something somewhere, somebody has shared this, and then they all flock to the video to downvote it. They don't watch more than a couple of minutes, and it throws the watch time way off, and that's an inherent disadvantage for us. And that they so mindlessly, reactively do this. But I do feel very fortunate that I've got a handful of friends, a few content creators, people like Little Movie Perp. He doesn't, he was messaging me stuff during the debate the other night saying, hey, don't do that. Don't, you know what I mean? Like, and I fucking value that. Like having somebody that I trust that can keep my worst impulses in check, and also just, challenge me on stuff and disagree, and let's have a conversation about it, as opposed to let's just all, line up all our opinions to be basically the same and say something is bad, and that's it. But
and since you're on the debate the other day, I did want to bring this up in case you're listening, or in case you come across this at some point, Jim. I hope you do well. I wish you nothing but the best, dude. I think that was a rough time for you, and yeah, I hope you learn and grow from this. That is what I hope. I would like to see you back online sometime.
Yeah,
I'd like to see you maybe a bit more positive in the comments, but yeah.
Yeah, I there's two different things that I feel like happen whenever something, somebody makes a choice like Jim has, where he's kind of back off of content and whatnot, is that sometimes, maybe most of the time, people just kind of do the I'll go away until people forget kind of thing. And then there's the harder but more admirable thing, which is to actually reflect on and listen to why, listen to perspectives on why some of the things that he was viewing and said, obviously, kind of suck and aren't good, and that are socially, generally socially rejected once you get outside of your echo chamber. But I don't, that's what we said it in that video. I don't think Jim is like a fucking super hostile bigot or anything like that. I think it's more of a kind of apathetic to.
Yeah, he's been misguided. Although speaking of echo chambers, that is something I think that's interesting, because like on our actual internet channels, the comments and stuff, we all get the hostile comments, we all get the ratio and all that crap. And what I think is interesting is if you take our views out into the real world, all of a sudden it's like a dynamic flip. Like once exposed to the real world, all of a sudden our views are the ones that make all the sense in the world, and people watch like something like Nerdrotic does and goes, oh yeah, of course it's that, and that.
Yeah, it's because on the internet it's not about the views themselves. It's about who says them. It's like if it's said by the people, like online, right? If you become a fan of someone, it's so much harder to think critically about what they say. If you're already in the space where these people are just like you're fans of this whole space, right? You're already more likely to believe what they say compared to someone like us who's saying that they're wrong and we're being critical towards people they like. There's definitely also other reasons, but I feel like, online it doesn't matter as much about the actual argument. People don't really listen to it that much.
Yeah, it's like a social dynamic more than it is like an intellectual engagement kind of thing. Nobody wants to be wrong in front of a bunch of people. Like it's just a human nature thing where it's like if
Yeah.
we're called out and pointed to, you know, our logic being faulty or just being completely off base, not having the right facts or whatever. Nobody wants to be called out like that. It sucks. It feels bad. It feels bad when I do it, or it happens to me, probably to you guys too. But like, you also have to kind of be open to that if you're going to put yourself on the internet. And yeah, the more if you close yourself off to, you know, new information and context and perspectives and stuff, then you spend enough time in that kind of, you know, with those blinders on, then yeah, it's going to lead you to some pretty shitty places and views, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think we definitely need to figure out how to do this more often. But yeah, so our first stream will be 27.5 hours long.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No, we gotta outdo. No, we will not be doing that. During it we will be talking about Ghostbusters 2016, but
we will not only watch the movie, then we will watch it again in slow motion and then pick it apart like EFAP does with normal videos. And then and then if we have time left, we'll, I guess, I don't know, have an orgy or something. You know, we'll make it work.
Yeah, we'll figure out. Man.
By the way, that's a good idea, Turf, because if we watch the movie like over the course of 5 hours and we just like pick it apart, if somebody has anything critical to say about us, but they haven't watched every second of that, it's invalid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've been what we've been saying is objective. We've been doing objective criticism. They've just come in. They don't know the situation. They can't be objective like we can.
This warms my heart, this whole conversation.
Listen, you guys just don't understand art like we do. If you don't understand what we're saying, it's going over your head. It's objective criticism of art, which is a thing that absolutely exists and not something just made up.
It's like, if I've asked before these types, not them specifically, but I'm just like, if it's subjective, why do I disagree?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's pretty simple to me. Like it's it just those two things are contradictory. But
yeah, like I think it's worth saying an objective review of a movie would be, this movie was written on a script. It was written on a Apple computer. It was printed out. Then it was recorded using digital, not film, and then it was edited together, and it was put into theaters.
That's what we'll do. That's what we'll spend the 5 hours on.
Yes.
Well, this is a scene.
Yes.
Move on.
Do you see this shot? This is a shot.
There was probably a camera at work here, but I cannot be sure, so that is not objective.
Oh, shit. It might have been somebody's phone. We're going to have to double check this. We need to be objective.
Exactly. Like, the thing is, a review can still be more like, I don't know, like, I don't want to say valid, you know, opinions are valid, you know, but it's like, there's still a difference between someone being like, I like this movie because it's great, you know, compared to someone who's like, talks about the themes and the structure and all these different things. It doesn't mean that the other person is wrong for liking it and the other person's correct for saying that it's like they don't like it because of all these things, right? But it's like there's still standards. There's still ways to go more in depth, right? And like that's what people want. People don't just want people like, oh, I like The Last Jedi because it was good. You know, like that would be boring. You know, that wouldn't really add anything to the conversation. But still, a good review doesn't mean that, like, a good review of someone saying that they don't like a movie, it's not this, like, doesn't mean that someone who likes the movie and can't really, like, say why, they don't really have the same level of argumentation. That doesn't mean that they're wrong. It's a different opinion.
Absolutely.
It's because everybody, you know, like I there was an argument I had with somebody one time on Twitter that was like, you know, no, it's objective because a movie, if it doesn't serve the purpose it was made to do, then it's a failure, you know, kind of thing. And I'm like, well, how do you know what the movie's intention was, you know, and also, you know, but anyway, they ended up saying that basically it's like a table. I told you about this. One of your commenters said I talked about it too long, Bob, with the table thing. where it's like he said, it's like a table. If you make a table with 3 legs and it doesn't work, then it's objectively a bad table. And if you make a movie that's supposed to entertain or whatever, then and it doesn't entertain, then it's a bad movie. And it's like, well, that's presuming that everybody watches movies for the same outcome. Like when we don't, we some people want to engage on just to have fun and watch a popcorn flick and forget about the movie afterward. That's a lot of people, actually.
Yeah.
And then some people want to analyze it. Some people want to identify with characters. Some people want to have some kind of like thematic revelation by the end of the movie. It's so subjective. It really depends on what we go into a thing hoping to get out of it.
Yeah, and even like if a movie is trying to be entertaining and you find it entertaining, right? Then it succeeded. But what if I didn't find it entertaining, right? Then it didn't succeed for me, right? It's like which one of us is correct? Did it succeed because it entertained you and it was trying to entertain someone, or did it fail because I wasn't entertained by it? It's like entertainment isn't just a constant trait, it changes. How can you say something is objective when we experience everything in our own way?
Yeah, no, just how we experience these movies is very subjective to our own worldview. I mean, I've seen people talk about things being unrealistic. I've seen people talk about how Daredevil hooking up with She-Hulk makes him unrelatable, and it's just like, it might be a self-report, but that might be...
I'd like to congratulate us because we're already getting one of the things that's probably going to happen a lot as we proceed is cross-pollination of our haters. So there's somebody in your chat, Bob.
I see him,
a while back, he had wanted to debate. I was going to bring him on, and then like he emailed me a whole bunch of times in like one night and was not communicating very coherently. And I ended up saying, nah, I don't want to do this anymore because I don't think it's going to work. And he's really mad that I said that on stream and thinks I'm lying, tells people I'm lying. So anyway, that's cool. Congratulations to us, our first pollination of haters.
Jesus Christ.
Someone just donated to you
Mike
$100.
Thank you for the $100 super chat. Holy crap. Thank you.
Holy shit.
Biggest super chat ever. Yes. Okay. Super chat.
Wow. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I should start streaming. Jesus.
Oh, it's it's a thing.
I mean, Mike, is there anything you wanted to bring up? I mean, that's a hell of a super chat, man. Anything you wanted to ask any of us?
For that?
He just said right before that he's having fun, but yeah, you should do anything for that. Sell your soul, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Give him your address. Tell him where to, come get his blowsy.
Give him your channel.
Actually, my channel's worth a bit more than that, but yeah. Definitely made the channel's day.
Yeah.
I mean, the channel.
So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What? I guess we would talk about like what types of content we would do on our stream or whatever. I guess privately, unless we wanted to get feedback from chat. What do you think? Like, what kind of segments, activities would they want to see?
Yeah. I guess we should start out by talking about like the plan to perhaps do a weekly sort of like stream thing, where it's kind of like an alternative to it's like an alternative to Friday Night Tights, where for people who don't like them, but still want a weekly consistent like hub to just talk about fun things, like have fun. Talk about movies, talk about TV shows, whatever's coming out, but then also have fun with doing some of the work too. Of course, like responding to people, talking about some discourse, but just with the other side of the coin.
Another thing I would want to do is like, look at other, not anti-fan content creators, just kind of like boost some smaller stuff. Like lately I've been promoting a comic book Kickstarter. I'd like to do stuff like that.
Yeah, I've started dipping my toe back in that. So I haven't been doing this as long as you guys have. So the hate really hit me hard. Oh, and thank you for the $5 super chat. Karina, I lost both my legs in a bomb in Koret Nam.
Oh my god.
I'm not sure to take that seriously, but
no, they're joking.
Yeah, it sounds a little off.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back.
All right.
I'm trying. Where was I? That threw me off. I think I was trying to figure out. So like figure out what type of format we want to do. Whether or not we're just chatting about movies, or I don't know. Like we could do reactions occasionally. I guess it might depend on also who's there. I'm definitely trying to get back into a more of a written essay format while I do the live stream stuff. And still work 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
This is exhausting, but I do like where the change.
Oh yeah.
I assume we all have full-time jobs outside this, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah. How long have you been doing this, Turf?
Well, like this content in general, or just YouTube?
Both.
I mean, they're pretty much the same thing.
Okay.
I started making videos in 2019, like later that year, towards the end, and it was just like on an old channel that I had. I was just like, I wanted to just put up something. I was playing at that point Minecraft with my friends, and I was just like, let me just fucking upload our PvP gameplay. But then like that lasted for like 3 months, and then and that's where it started before with like the whole Rise of Skywalker thing, and then so. Yeah, like 3 years now, I think.
Okay.
So it's not that long.
Okay, did you dive right into going into this type of stuff? It sounds like Rise of Skywalker might have been dipping your toes, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because it started with the whole like Star Wars, like toxic Star Wars fans. I called out that a lot for like a year and stuff before I started dabbling into more general and also a bit more politics, like a bit more where it's not just like, oh, these fans are being mean to other fans. It's oh wow. But it's also like these fans are being. It's not just fans being mean to fans. It's also like there's actual trends. There's like serious stuff happening. But yeah.
I want to say it was Star Wars where I really started to notice the toxicity with the fan bases, and it feels like they all turned this way. I mean, hell, I got this Genesis poster back here. And you still get toxicity between the Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins there. It's like, why does this have to spread to everywhere? This is obnoxious. Can't we just all like this thing and admit some things are not our favorite, but some things are? Why can't...
Puma Fist, if you want to debate a little movie perp, you can do that. I don't want to debate you, man. But organized chaos, whatever. Sorry. Needed to get that out of the way.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you've popped up a few times, Puma.
Yeah, but...
If you want to come on, I'll debate you.
But yeah, I was just thinking we could like, because I know you guys have said that you know some other people who also do this, who could possibly be also members of this weekly thing, possibly, or like be guests on it. Like the only person I really know on the platform who does similar content or that I've like interacted with is Karina McDaniels, who makes great content, and she's one of the first ones that I would reach out to. So hence it's the losing legs to a bomb comment.
Okay,
I have friends like my best friend Willow from the channel Questing Refuge. They don't do the exact, like, they don't go after specific chud narratives and stuff like that, but the kind of content they do is very much inclusive and focused on getting people to basically be more empathetic in a lot of cases towards disability and autism, and but just really great content, really great person, and like they would probably be willing to come on sometimes just to talk about this stuff. So like it doesn't even have to be somebody that makes the content that we do in the same way. Like it can just be somebody that wants to address some of these issues and have a conversation. So
sure. Sucked has a super chat. They're asking, big question, how would each of you direct Rise of Skywalker if you had a take?
Oh wow.
Who wants to go first with that one?
I mean, the name would probably be different for one thing, but it would follow up on the stuff established in The Last Jedi, like any of the stuff established in The Last Jedi.
Yeah. I'd also give Finn a much more prominent role.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also worth pointing out that there was actually a script that followed up The Last Jedi called Duel of the Fates. Calden Trevorrow is a spotty director, but like that script had interesting ideas that I would actually like. I don't think Colin Trevorrow would be a great director for it, but like look at that script and maybe put it in the hands of another director, because some of the ideas of like obviously Rey is going to stay nobody. Luke as a Force ghost trains her while he also trolls Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren is the main villain of the movie. Just stuff like that, which for me, it's like, right. I like those ideas. That's interesting.
It seemed like an obvious, that's why I was so shocked by Rise of Skywalker, because it's like, all those things were great. Like, I understood that Force Awakens needed to kind of reestablish what Star Wars is, kind of thing. Like, that's why they intentionally made it almost a, blueprint of A New Hope, kind of. But then Last Jedi went in this completely different direction, built on that. I was like, fuck yeah, let's see where this goes. I have no idea what to expect now. The whole Rey and Kylo, having their weird relationship, that was intriguing to me. I didn't know where that was going to end up. And yeah, they just kind of severed all of those narrative threads, Rise of Skywalker. And then they're like, oh, remember the Emperor?
Yeah. We'll bring him back. We'll say he's a clone later. And by the way, the Emperor fucks. It's like, what? Why? I'm imagining his orgasm face is like when he's like, oh god, oh no, yeah, no, like it's become kind of famous at this point that J.J. Abrams had his own idea for the trilogy. Rian Johnson and Colin Trevorrow, when they got it, kind of threw it out and did their own thing. And then Colin Trevorrow got fired. Yeah. Rian Johnson continued with their plan. And then J.J. Abrams got brought back on and tried to reset it back to his plan. But it was already, like, off the rails at that point. And rather than just follow up with their own plan, he just tried to force it back in. And that's where you end up with the sequel trilogy. Which honestly, for me, I think Force Awakens did what it needed to do. It's not great, but it does what it needs to do to get the franchise back on solid ground. And it's also worth noting, part of the reason they did such a faithful, almost like remake of New Hope. Well, obviously, it's not a remake, but storyline wise, it kind of is. Part of the reason they did that was kind of reset it. Because at that point, people were still hating hard on the prequels. There wasn't that love for the prequels wave that had hit by then. So they wanted to bring it back to where Star Wars was at the beginning. And then Last Jedi was trying to bring it back to, like, okay, now we're going in our own direction. And then J.J. Abrams just went, nope, we're going to do kind of Return of the Jedi, kind of.
Yeah. The sequels. And like, Rise... It's particularly frustrating for me. Like, that's one I really still wrestle with. And honestly, as much as I kind of enjoyed Boba Fett and Mando and stuff, they're fine. I didn't hate them. But, like, I didn't get pulled back into Star Wars again since Rise of Skywalker until Andor. Andor's fucking great.
Oh, yeah. I need to catch up with Andor. I'm missing one or two episodes. But, God, I think the last time I saw him, he was in the prison. But yeah, I'm really digging that series. It is really
But you notice who's not talking about Andor. But anyway, so with Rise of Skywalker, it's only frustrating to me. Like earlier I said, if it was just a movie and then the next one would be good, okay, whatever. But because it's the end of that saga, the Skywalker saga, and it ends on such a wet fart, it's really fucking painful to me. But,
Yeah, the sequel trilogy is so weird because, like, I think overall I like it more than the prequels. But it definitely has the worst ending of all the trilogies. I don't really feel like that's even a hot take.
The thing is, like, the prequels as a trilogy is stronger just because it's cohesive.
Yeah, at least it ends
as like a trilogy.
At least it's consistent in the quality throughout.
And obviously I have a lot of, like, love towards it because, like, I grew up with it compared to, like I didn't watch the original trilogies when I was, like, a kid because I didn't find them as fun, because, like, the prequels are more, like, bling bling. But it's, like, and it's also, like, it's George Lucas's original vision. Like, as a trilogy, it's stronger, but, like, when I watch the movies themselves, I'd much rather watch, any of the sequels even compared to Phantom Menace.
I've
We're
done
so
that
used to
too.
talking about it.
I've been talking about, as a Star Wars fan, I'm talking more about the Fandom Menace than the Phantom Menace. It's not good, but it's
And
like
that's the problem, right? They take up all the oxygen in the discourse. But
exactly, and it's like, but even when I say that, and I've said that plenty of times, like I don't enjoy watching the prequels that much anymore. They're just not that interesting to me anymore. But it's like that does not mean that they're bad or that other people don't like them, shouldn't like them, you know? That's just what I think. People
Yeah.
don't like the sequels, right? I think I like the sequels personally better than the prequels. And that's fine if other people don't agree. You know, it's like and I feel like that just level of decency and like, oh, I have my takes, you can have your opinions, you know? That like that's been lost somehow. And I think that's just the biggest like disservice to like fandoms, you know? Like
it's
you
the
can't be
death
a
of
fan
fandom.
anymore. Yeah.
And like I always try to say, it all ties into, culture is downstream of politics. I think it was basically a fascist who said that, but it's true. Like, it's all interwoven. So like, in the same way that in political discourse, there's no substance or a real analysis, especially on a certain side of it. Same thing with fandom, where it's literally just about one-upsmanship and tribalism, and this thing is not what I like. So even though I don't offer any other alternative, I spend all my time on the thing that I don't like. And is you look at the Republican platform, you know what I mean, and it's like they offer nothing except they're against wokeness, basically. And it's same thing, and that's really what we need to try to offer, I believe, is something else.
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on. I'm getting stuck in the chat. I guess.
Yeah, Puma Fist is fun. He's kind of interesting guy.
No, I'm pretty sure I've had him. I don't think I've banned him, but I know I've timed him out a few times. So yeah, that could be interesting.
He showed up in a premiere of a video a while back and was like, said something. I just don't like the wokeness push or whatever. And I'm like, what does that mean? And he couldn't really give me a definition that made any sense because there's really not one.
I remember in a video he kept on derailing it a bit because he kept on bringing up how the races matter in Lord of the Rings. I kept on saying, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Stop it. Stop it. He's like, no, it's based on Europe. Oh. Stop it.
Well, like, the races in Lord of the Rings matter, just not, like...
Yeah. The races that matter are human, elf, dwarf.
Exactly. Those matter a lot. It is a very, like, racial, like story. It's a story that focuses a lot on race, but it's not white or black. You know? It's that... Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah, I feel like we just would have no shortage of stuff to talk about, and I apologize I had to go for a minute. I don't know if you guys decided on anything, talked about anything that
we actually decided to leave you out of it.
Yeah, but, we decided it's gonna be best without Dane, so we will be moving forward without you.
It's
yeah,
good call. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's...
the mistake you made in like the poster, it's unforgivable. I don't think you can work with it.
Well, listen, dude, I saw I think it was your second video, and it was just embarrassing sound quality. So we can't work with this.
That's not true, because the one thing that I have experience in is audio engineering, so all of my audio is fucking awesome. But anyway.
Oh, well, that...
It does sound very crispy.
That's just you. My audio has not been great.
It's objectively good, Bob.
Well, my audio now is fine, but it used to be quite bad. I've had very cheap microphones I've had to edit to work with. No, now I got the Blue Yeti, and that's very convenient.
Wait, is this the Star Wars theory? No, can't be.
What?
That doesn't seem possible, is it?
I can't imagine.
No.
Would there be like a check mark? There would, right?
Do they have a check mark?
Like in a chat.
I don't.
Well.
Okay, yeah. There's the grammar's awesome.
Oh, okay. All right. It's like that. Damn.
It's
Okay.
not. It's definitely not.
We're getting attention.
The only reason I say it's because like the Star Wars theories gets triggered very easily.
Oh, do they?
By people,
I didn't know
like,
that. I haven't seen that
about
much Star Wars theory.
Oh, me and so like I have I'm on like a Discord server with called like the Sea Empire with one of my friends on YouTube called the Sea. He's like he focuses a lot on like Disney and like now he's transitioned more to being like Pirates of the Caribbean. But he dabbled once in like this call out thing, and like me and him collaborated on a video calling out Star Wars theory to a lot of things, and like the same night Star Wars theory like reacted to it on his stream, and then we reacted to it, and it was he doesn't like when people call him out. So
Really?
I was just like, okay, him being in this random ass like live stream, not even like about him, it would make sense for him, but it's not.
I didn't know that much.
Yeah, I've noticed a distinction in how some of them do or don't respond to being criticized or called out, right? Like, you know, Ethan Van Sciver used to early on in my channel would stream my coverage of him every single time within about 24 hours. You know, and that's a pattern he generally holds to with other people. He stopped holding it with me until I think you and I talked, Bob.
Yeah.
And my theory is because my arguments became too good for him to let his audience hear. But like, I mean, I admit early on I was pretty superficial and cringe and was just like, oh, this sucks. This guy sucks. But anyway, but like guys like Geeks and Gamers, like pretty much all of the main Fandom Menace guys almost seem like they are untouchable and trying to get a response from them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because so many people criticize them or what.
I mean, what would they say also?
That exactly. I feel like it's because they know they can't really argue the points.
Yeah, there's no benefit for them whatsoever. Like, it can only go wrong for them. You know?
True.
They will not grow because of it. They will not. It won't help their grift in any way. There is like the cost benefit. There is no cost. No, wait. There is no benefit. There's only potential cost for them. So like yeah, like why would they?
There was that one fan of theirs that challenged me. You know, and me and Perp have done 2 streams now in the last year where we're like several hours. We're like, come on this stream and debate us if you think we're wrong about this stuff. And the first one, nobody showed up. The second one, just like a month or so ago, we advertised it like a few days in advance. And 2 guys showed up. One of them ended up just wanting to debate like his opinions on a good character, really didn't have much to say about wokeness. And he ended up being pretty amicable. And then the other guy was, you know, just a diversity bad, but he had no arguments.
Is that the one that's on your channel?
I don't know if that stream is up. The one where I debated the T-Rev, the guy from Fandom Menace.
Yeah, that's the one you shared with me.
That's on my channel. Yeah, and that one, I enjoyed it. Like, that was really my first real debate that wasn't impromptu. Another time a guy showed up on stream because I was talking shit and he didn't do well. But yeah, that guy watched a video of mine and wanted to talk about the whole Reva Obi-Wan thing, which is why I was kind of prepared for it the other night.
Yeah.
And also kind of frustrated immediately when it came up because I was like hearing the same arguments that don't make any sense. And
it's the arguments that are in so many of my comments during that time. It just...
T-Row's a nice guy, I'll give him that. Like, he was cordial. I was probably meaner to him at one point than he was the whole time. But still, you know, the best they can do is just... Like, I was asking, he was saying feminism over plot and stuff is a big deal. And I'm like, all right, give me examples. And he was like, Ghostbusters, Captain Marvel, The Last Jedi. I was like, okay, even if I give you those, which I don't think that's accurate, but if I give them to you, how does that prove that there's this problem? You know how many, you know, like one of them is from 2017, one is from 2019, it's 2022. You should be able to fire off a list of movies where this is a problem. You know what I mean? And he couldn't really do it. So, and then he resorted to the Kathleen Kennedy shirt thing.
You
know, or state.
Well, it's
they have
something
nothing.
else. They freak out
like
all about the behind the scenes stuff.
Female thing.
Yeah. They're freaking out about like behind the scenes stuff instead of the actual like media, instead of engaging with that actually.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
and like those shirts, they were like a Nike campaign.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like they were at a thing and she just put it on. Like it wasn't a fuck you to the fans, you know. It wasn't
right.
like a big media stunt. It was just like a yeah.
Another aspect of that debate that I think we should keep in mind as part of our goal, I guess, is like they consider themselves the fandom, right? So whenever Star Wars puts out a tweet saying don't be racist, they're like they're calling all the fans racists, and it's like well, I don't feel like they're calling me racist.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's a common thing that they just like a notion that they seem to hold that we would do well to counter. That they're actually a pretty small part of the fandom, I would think, because they just seem dominant because they are on YouTube. But like you were saying, you go out into the world and talk to people, and you're not really going to encounter these types of ideas quite as often as, if somebody doesn't like the new trilogy, they'll say that, but like otherwise they're not going to be like, no, fucking wokeness ruined it in most cases. Like just man on the street type thing.
It's like if you're a child on like a playground, right? And you go around like harassing and like shouting at all the other kids and just being like a dick to them, and then eventually no one shows up there except for you, and you're like, I'm the only child, it's like no, you push people away from you, so like obviously you don't ever see like the majority of people because you're an asshole.
Yeah,
I don't know if that analogy made any sense.
No, it absolutely does. Yeah, I mean, and exactly, and the way YouTube operates with the algorithm and just it's easier to get out a bunch of superficial sensationalist content than it is to get out an equal amount of content with any kind of substance, and once again, that's an inherent disadvantage to us. But
why release a review of a show when you can just release a review of a couple of clips that have been released on the day the show comes out?
So yeah, I would think like we could decide on a certain content creator or topic. I mean, obviously probably the thing to do is like this week on my channel, I'm Wakanda Forever, not just because it's the trending thing and it's in the algorithm, but because I do want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't hurt. You know what I mean? So like whatever the thing is, we could address that, look at some narratives, talk about our own thoughts on it.
Awesome. Yeah. I would at least watch that stream, except you are doing it pretty much when I'm going to be watching the movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wish I was watching the movie, but I won't be that night. So,
but
it's all good. Rather talk to my audience and see what they think and whatnot. Listen to some chuds.
Ooh. Well, let's see. I was probably going to move on to other things. Did you guys have anything you wanted to bring up?
No, not really.
Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, we will figure this all out in the details, because I'm thinking what we'll probably do, like when we do this, is we'll rotate it around on our channels and stuff like that. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple ideas that I'd like to propose to you guys, like off stream too. So just whenever we can do that, I guess.
Okay.
But,
I'll probably I was just thinking I'll probably set up a Discord group with just the three of us for the time being, and then we'll see who we want to
that's one of the things that I have a thing set up already. I'll add
okay. That'll work.
And you can check it out and see. Yeah.
All right, cool. So we will figure that out. Hopefully we will get to the next one of these in about a week.
Hopefully.
I guess, yeah. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to Actual Fandom, subscribe to TurfNation, subscribe to me.
Subscribe to OC, but also hit the like button on this stream, guys.
True. It will get ratioed. Don't worry.
And that and that's expected, and it's probably a good sign. If they're worried about it enough to come to it like that. But thank you to Organized Chaos's audience. Thank you for my audience for dealing with the audio issues and going over to Bob's stream. But
I'm not audio issue free either.
Well, I mean, you have audio. I
true.
Just wasn't able to do audio, so anyway.
All right.
It's really nice talking to you guys, both of you. It's like one of the most refreshing conversations I've had in a while, just to be able to, commiserate with people that have similar experiences. So
I'm kind of impressed how long you guys have been in this space, because I've been in this space for I started doing this stuff probably like February, March, April, probably when I started doing this dive, and I started feeling like I was alone and like doing all this self-doubt stuff, like, oh my god, am I going insane? What's wrong? Is it the world's insane or I'm insane? Is it YouTube? What's going on? And yeah, just finding other content creators who do a similar thing. It's like, oh, thank God, it's not just me. Okay.
I mean, we might be insane for doing this, for trying to push against the tides kind of thing, tides of YouTube, but I don't think we're wrong to do it. So
no, I hate the way YouTube is going.
Yeah.
I actually want movie critique. Holy shit.
I definitely this year had a lot of that same, like, just feelings of being alone here. Being like, and I've also started having doubts about, like, if I'm so alone, am I the problem? Has everyone else just got it? And even though, like, I know logically, like, no, like, I know I'm doing this for a reason, but it's like, it still just comes up, and this conversation has just been really refreshing.
Yeah.
It's been really good.
That's part of the effect, and I think it's maybe intentional to some degree of why they bombard our channels and harass us and shit, is like to wear you down, to, like, just, socially make you believe that socially what you're doing is unacceptable and nobody wants it and nobody likes it, when it's really not that, when it's really just literally algorithmic in nature. And yeah, there's like the cultural problem as well, but like it expresses itself much more prominently on social media in general, but YouTube especially. So yeah, really, really refreshing, and hopefully we can keep each other in good spirits and not fall into that kind of spiral of doubt that happened.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you guys for popping up.
Guys.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
All right, see you.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't.
Do you enjoy pain?
Pain don't hurt.